Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel again. So today we are making another Christmas sweet, which is the Bathk. For that we need some baking powder, we need some cardamom powder, and we also need some nutmeg powder that we have. If you don't have nutmeg powder, you can just make it. You just grate the nutmeg, basically. That's what we've done. And we are using some vanilla extract as well. And we need some milk. We need some butter. We also require semolina, which is an important ingredient in this recipe. And we need desiccated coconut. It's basically a semolina and coconut cake, Bathk. So we definitely need both of these. And then we also need some granulated sugar. So to begin with, we have to start with roasting our semolina. Just dry roast the semolina lightly. So that's what we are going to do now. All the ingredients, quantities are mentioned in the description box, so don't worry about that. Once the semolina is lightly roasted, we keep it aside, and then we begin with the eggs. So we crack open the 6 eggs that we are using. And once this is done, once you get all the 6 eggs ready, you then add the granulated sugar to the eggs. So we will add the sugar to the eggs, and then basically it's just about mixing this well. So you add all the sugar and then you mix it well. It has to be really beaten well and mixed it well so that you get the right consistency. If you have an electric whisk, that will assist you to do this, but it can be also done with the hand. It's good exercise for your hand, should we say. But yes, you can use an electric whisk and you can use your hand as well. That works as well. The hand will just take a bit longer. And this is sort of the consistency that you're looking for. Also, you don't have to worry about using powdered sugar in this recipe. You don't have to use powdered sugar. You can use granulated sugar, because as long as you mix well, it will all dissolve in there. If you're using an electric whisk, it will just take lesser time and lesser effort, while if you're doing it by hand, it will just take a bit longer, but it will surely dissolve. Then we move on to our next ingredients, which is desiccated coconut and milk. We add the milk to the desiccated coconut and blend it. If you need more milk, you can add more milk as you go on blending. Then we come back to our mixture of eggs and sugar. To this we are adding melted butter. We just melted the butter in the microwave and keep it aside to cool down for some time before you add it to the mixture. So the butter has to cool down, and then the melted butter has to cool down a bit, and then you will add it to this mixture and mix it well. Once this is done, we will also add the main ingredient to the recipe, which is roasted semolina. So we will add this and simultaneously also stir it in and mix it well. So we will add the roasted semolina and then start mixing all of this. I always like making the Bathk last minute, because it sort of releases these beautiful smells and aromas in the kitchen, and smells all Christmassy and lovely in the house. So it just sort of brings back so many memories to me as well. It's easy to make. While it's in the oven, you can do other things, and it just gives you the time to basically just feel all this Christmas vibes. Then at this point we add our coconut paste, the coconut that we had blended. Just add it to the mixture. We add the coconut paste that was blended with milk, and then again you give it a good mix. At this stage then we will move on to adding our powdered spices. So we will add our powdered spices after this, which will be the spices that we had shown you initially. So we will add the nutmeg powder. So we add the nutmeg powder, then we will add the cardamom powder. We will also add a pinch of salt. So add the cardamom powder, you then add a pinch of salt. We will also add 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and we will also add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. You can use vanilla essence if you don't have vanilla extract, that's totally fine. And then you give this a good mix again. So different people make Bathk differently. Some people leave it overnight. Some people, start baking it after a couple of hours. I'm going to do both ways just to show you. Depends on how much time you really have. So if you have more time, you leave it overnight. If not, you just do it after a couple of hours. Now we are adding the optional ingredient, which is the roughly chopped cashew nuts. If you don't want to add the cashew nuts, that's totally fine as well. You can just leave them out. If you don't like cashew nuts and you like walnuts, you can add them. That's absolutely alright as well. So you add the roughly chopped nuts and then give it a good mix again. And after this is done, we will cover the batter and leave it aside. And like I was just saying, depending on how much time you have, you will either leave it out for a couple of hours before you get to baking it, or you will leave it out overnight. So I'm going to do both ways. I'm going to show you as we go along. So I'm going to use 3/4 batter after a couple of hours. I start greasing my baking tin, and then I add a grease-proof baking paper and then add some butter at the top again. This is after a couple of hours. Then I will also pour the mixture into the greased baking tin. I have preheated my oven at 200 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes just while doing this. And then I will top this mixture up with some cashew nuts. That's again optional. But then once you pour the batter, you need to level it out. So you can just tap the tin or you can just use the ladle. Both helps, and just level it out. Garnish with some more cashew nuts. And then it goes into the oven at 180 degrees for 40 to 45 minutes. You will check in between by doing the toothpick or the skewer test. We will show you as we go along. So you just arrange the cashew nuts, and then it will go in the oven. I will mention everything about the temperature in the description box. You don't have to worry. So it goes into the oven, and then after about 40 minutes we check on it and put the toothpick in, and if it comes out clean, that means it is all done. So it's all done now. We get it out and then let it cool down for about 15 minutes. And once it's well cooled down, then you can run a knife at the sides if you like, and then you can unmold it. Unmold it and then cut it into your desired shape and sizes. So we just unmold it. Some people like to cut the Bathk in the form of squares, rectangles. Some people just like to cut it as a cake because it is a coconut and semolina cake. So it's totally up to your choice. So there we go, we're cutting it, and it looks absolutely moist and fluffy and is so good. It smells lovely here as well. I wish you could smell through the screen. It's that good. It's already Christmas in the kitchen. So then I go back to the batter that I had left overnight. This is on the next day, and then I put this in again into a greased tin. I'm using a smaller tin because I have lesser batter remaining this time. I just use a fork to swirl through it and then level it again. I swirl through because it was left overnight, and then level it out again and garnish with some more cashew nuts if you like at the top. The same thing that we did yesterday. And then this will go in the oven as well at 180 degrees for 45 minutes. This oven has been preheated as well for 20 minutes prior at 200. Then we reduce the temperature to 180 and put it in. Yeah, and there you go. It's really easy to make. The Bathk doesn't take long, and while it is in the oven, you can do other things. You don't have to be there to fry it or nothing like that, like the Neurios and other things that we do. So there you go. You then take it off the oven, let it cool, unmold it, and then cut it into pieces. It's ready. The skewer has come out clean. Let it cool down and then cut it into pieces, just like you want to do it, square or in the form of a cake, doesn't really matter. So there you go. It's really easy and quick to make. I hope you've seen all my other Christmas sweets. I will link it at the end. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.